Once a MIF has been written, approved, uploaded to the CLC, it takes about 24 hours, and the CLC puts the MIF on the national website, the national database, and the pastoral search begins. Once a ministry information form has been approved and uploaded to the CLC, the pastor search process begins in earnest. And that pastor search process, I think that as a funnel, you start with 50, 75, maybe even 150 or 200 personal information forms, and you narrow that down to 5 or 10 candidates that you want to interview via Zoom or Skype, and then you funnel it down even further to the 2 or 3 finalists that you want to have closer contact with. Before you can have closer contact with a candidate, you need to get in touch with me and give me their name and what presbytery they are from, because I have to do an EP reference check. What happens is I call my colleague in another presbytery and I make sure that candidate is a solid citizen, that there's no hidden sexual misconduct, no hidden financial impropriety, that they are good team players. Personally, I don't do a full interview of the candidate. I'm not trying to find the right fit. If I see something that is an obvious disconnect, I will convey that to the chair of the PNC. But generally, I'm not doing screening other than are they a solid citizen, and we want to make sure that we're not passing along bad actors from presbytery to presbytery, as some other denominations have unfortunately done. So once that EP reference check has been approved, then you have permission, or the PNC has permission, for close contact. Usually that means a neutral pulpit. Now, in today's world, a lot of times the neutral pulpit is taking place virtually, because all of our sermons are online, and it's really easy to kind of get a sense of that person. But at the end of the day, whoever your finalist is needs to come visit your church and your community before they say yes to a job and before you offer them the job. So you want to make sure that when you have that close contact, that confidentiality is cared for. You do not want to let the news of the name of the candidate out, because the world is small, the Presbyterian Church is even smaller, and we want to protect the privacy of the pastor, who may not end up getting the job and have to go back to a church where the people feel as if they've been betrayed. So we just can't have that. So you protect the confidentiality, and at that point, when the person comes into town for a neutral pulpit, you want to make sure that they get connected with the COM cluster or the interview team. What has to happen is the COM cluster or the interview team has to meet with the candidate and ask questions of theology, polity, sacraments, scripture. We want to make sure that they can be faithful members of our presbytery. Once the COM interview or cluster interview has been approved, they are ready to go forth, and if they're the candidate that the PNC selects, there will be a congregational meeting to elect that pastor. That's for permanent positions. Again, for temporary positions, there's no congregational meeting because it's an act of the session. In all of this, it is important that you as COM liaison give to the PNC on calling a pastor, which is the GA manual on the pastoral search. It is 50 to 60 pages of stem to stern, A to Z, alpha to omega information. Also, PNC training overview document, which is a summary of that on calling a pastor, lays out in 3 or 4 pages what the on calling a pastor GA manual lays out in much deeper, more in-depth terms. So give them these documents so that they can have a written process that they can follow as they go through the search. This has been a long presentation. I thank you for your patience. I've thrown a lot of material your way. There's a lot of information to manage and to sort through. I guess you have questions. If so, let the discussion begin.